We have our welcome from a friend and brother who's past professor at New Orleans Seminary, but now is executive director here in the Baltimore, Maryland area, Dr. Will McRaney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Southern Baptists from all across North America, representing the many people groups of the world, welcome to historic and influential Baltimore. My Asian brothers, African American brothers, Latino, Anglo, European, brothers and sisters, we welcome you to Baltimore. Our neighbors in Washington, D.C. and the entire Mid-Atlantic region welcomes you. And on behalf of some 550 Southern Baptist churches here in Maryland and Delaware and the surrounding areas, we welcome you to our great city and hope that we serve as grace hosts for you. Baltimore is a very significant city in the history of the United States, but it's also very historic in terms of Southern Baptist life as well. And it's a privilege to have you here today to come back to some of the roots, the early roots of Southern Baptists that exist here in the Baltimore area. We appreciate your coming from your mission field, your home area, to our mission field where God has assigned us to reach this region for Christ. My name is Will McRaney, and I have the honor of serving as Executive Missional Strategist for the Baptist Convention of Maryland and Delaware, representing the church, some 550 churches here in this region. I'm humbled last fall that God would bring me to this region, this very strategic region, because this region is very rich in its history, and it's primed and ready to go forward into the future, not just relying upon its past, but building upon its great historic past. Our colorful, charming, and delightful diversity city of neighborhoods is home to Johns Hopkins University and many historic museums and two-time Super Bowl champions Baltimore Ravens and three times World Series champion Baltimore Orioles. And I'm getting to know Dr. Luter and I spent time in New Orleans there together, and there we have the great food of New Orleans, but here we have the great crab and the great spices and the seafoods, and we Baptists, we know food. We hope you'll partake some of that as well while you're here. Historically, Baltimore is the birthplace of our national anthem, which Francis Scott Key wrote after the War of 1812, right not very far from this very building, when at Fort McHenry, the soldiers held off the British attack to Baltimore, and after that war, he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. You probably know some of the words, particularly the first stanza, but let me read a few of the words from the last stanza that you may not be familiar with. When he wrote, "Then conquered we must when our cause is just, and this be our motto, in God we trust. And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave." In the course of history, Baptists have many brave and pioneering people. Some of those happened right here in this region, the earliest days of the Southern Baptist Convention. In 1845, Maryland became one of 9 states represented at the very formation of the Southern Baptist Convention. And Baltimore pastor Richard Fuller preached the convention's first annual sermon in June 1846, which met in Richmond, Virginia. In 1888, Annie Armstrong of Baltimore was named the first corresponding secretary for the WMU, which is headquartered actually right here in Baltimore. In 1895, the first WMU home mission offering, a precursor to the Home Mission Board offering, and then later the North American Mission Board offering that we know through the Annie Armstrong, was renamed after her, Annie Armstrong Easter offering, was taken. Miss Annie's work among mothers, the underprivileged, the sick, African Americans, the Indians, and later in life, even Jewish neighbors, is historic and remains an example to us and a call to us towards people of need. She had a special interest in immigrants. In the early 1800s, Baltimore grew to be the second largest entry point into the United States next to Ellis Island. In 1907, almost 1 million people migrated to the United States. Many of those tens of thousands came through Baltimore's Locust Point. What brave beginnings for this city. historically and through Baptist life. Miss Annie Armstrong said in regards to missions something that I think is a challenge to all of us in our churches today. She said, "Men and means were not forthcoming fast enough for the great work of foreign missions, so God turned the stream this way and sent great masses of the under-evangelized to come in contact with Christians." Even today, the Mid-Atlantic Baptists have a great opportunity to minister among the most diverse zip codes in all the United States. One of our churches, First Baptist Church Laurel, has some 600, 650 people involved on a given week of worship. Among their congregation, they find 52 nationalities of members in their church and 72 nationalities represented in people attending their church. You see, Miss Annie was right. God did bring the nations right here to Baltimore, as many has he done even in your cities, I'm sure, as well. Maryland, Delaware is a hot zone for human trafficking, given the location in the I-95 corridor. So there are challenges, plenty of opportunities for ministry to people that are in very desperate need. We have all the challenges of an urban center and the poverty and the crime and all the things that you think of when you think of urban context. But it's also, we have a chance to minister among the wealthiest of communities as well. The highest per capita income zip code in the United States is right here on our doorsteps here. There are some 2.7 million people that live in Metro Baltimore, yet in this area there are only 206 active churches. But I am very pleased to let you know, as you will hear even more some later today, a lot of great, brave new church planters have moved to this area, and a lot of guys that have come from other fields of missions have stepped in to revitalize some of the churches, the great historic churches that exist among us. We covet your prayers and your heartfelt hands-on ministry in this great city and this entire Mid-Atlantic region. You see, this area is full of great ordinary challenges, but also we have a wonderful opportunity in this area to go forward, to move forward into the future, looking back to our past as inspiration, but looking forward to our direction, because we have a God who lives, and he came and lived and died for us so that we might take his message to those without Christ. So we ask you to join in with us as we go forward. Miss Annie said, we go forward into altitudes of endeavor, of success, undreamed of before, and that's what we're praying for right here. As you're here among us, let me ask you to engage in some things. Engage in our history, both in print. You'll find this particular piece right here that our staff put together that outlines some of the history of the Southern Baptists, and particularly the history as it relates to this region and this unique place in Baptist life. And so I trust that you'll find this and that you'll have a chance to look at that. Engage not just in the print media that we have, also engage in the streets. Walk the streets right here among the same streets that Annie Armstrong and many historic Baptists have walked. Engage in the diversity and the richness of all that is being global Baptist and what that means to reach the world right here among us. Engage our people also with the infectious love of Christ. As we touch them, may we share the gospel with them and live it out in front of them so that we may represent all of Southern Baptist well, and most importantly, that we represent Christ well while we are here. Have a memorable experience. Walk in the same streets as Annie Armstrong in her early days of her ministry. Walk among the streets into the current mission field of both our established churches and our church planters. And as you do that, may God use you to infect this city with the gospel and plant the gospel here even more among us. Well, again, let me say welcome to Baltimore. We're glad that you're here. If I or my staff can be of assistance to you, run me down, see me, or come by our booth, and we'll be happy to do that. Thank you for coming.